And the first topic that we are going to discuss is going to be the stress test, which is brand new June, not brand new, I guess, but a change to the stress test. So, quick refresher for anybody that doesn't know what the stress test is. This was put in originally in 2016. It applied in 2017 to all buyers as well as anybody refinancing, that you had to prove you could pay higher interest rates. So you have to be able to prove that you can qualify with an interest rate that is 2% higher than your quoted rate. So if you were quoted 1%, you got that awesome HSBC 0.99% rate. You had to qualify 2% higher, or whatever the benchmark rate was, whichever was higher. Right now, that is 4.79%. It is going up to 5.25%. This is not actually that shocking. It was over 5% in 2019, and I think even into 2020 as well. The changes, besides it going up, the other big one is that instead of it now being the average of the big five banks posted rate, it is now going to be set by the government of Canada, and they are going to review it once a year. So I think it's going to be every December they are going to review it, and then it is going to be posted what the qualification rate is. So that's kind of the big changes. My thoughts are on it. This is only about a 5.5% difference in terms of reduction in buying power. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. When they first put it in 2016, it dropped your buying power by about 20%. That was a massive difference. So, Bart, what do you think here?
I think that a lot of what we're seeing with this is trying to use the wrong weapons to beat the problem. I don't think we've got a big crisis in the country of people defaulting on their mortgages and not being able to pay higher interest rates on their mortgages. It's maybe somewhere out there that exists, but at the end of the day, making it harder for people to buy their first houses or to qualify just out of school or to get themselves into the market seems like a really bad way to encourage people to get their first homes, get out of their parents' house, get into the actual economy proper.
Yeah, first of all, BH, thank you for checking in as well. Yeah, I got the NASCAR set up on the headset here. This is the only headset I could find to work. I was doing test runs last night. Everything else didn't work. But yes, I think you're 100% right there. You hit that one, the nail on the head there, Bart, in terms of this punishes first-time homebuyers more than anybody else. Those are the ones that have the slimmest margins and are having the toughest time entering the market. So yeah, I think it's not the right tool. And you're right, we're not seeing a huge rash of defaults and foreclosures. The last numbers available, which these are fairly old now because I haven't been able to find anything newer, was about the delinquency rate. So that's people who are 90 days or more delinquent. They have not been paying their mortgages, has to get reported. That was 0.25% of all mortgages. Saskatchewan, our province here, was the highest at 0.8% of all mortgages. To put it in perspective, just before the crash in the US market there in 2008, they were hovering around 3.5% delinquency rates. And that 0.8% in Saskatchewan represents approximately 1,000 mortgages. So it's not like it is a substantial amount of people that are delinquent, let alone even in the foreclosure process.
Mhm.
So,
I did start that off by reading ahead and making sure you'd say I was right. So here's the actual counterpoint to that. We are in a time of historically low interest rates. I think that's been true for quite some time now. And we do have a lot of pencil pushers who may or may not know what's actually happening, saying that there's a housing bubble. Now, they've been saying there's a housing bubble for a long, long time now. But if the goal is to prevent a problem 5 years down the line when we get to interest rates that aren't, hovering around 0, 1%, then this might be the tool for the job. But I haven't seen any messaging about that. And truthfully, if that's the intent, it's not been communicated particularly well.
yeah, I think the idea behind this originally was to reduce a buyer's purchasing power in an effort to slow down the Torontos and Vancouvers of our market here so people could spend less, they couldn't bid up prices. That was the idea. I think it was very much a sledgehammer to a problem that needed a scalpel. And Sojourner, thanks for jumping in. Glad you could catch the live stream. So, anything else you want to wrap it up here before we move on to the next one here, Bart? Any last kind of thoughts on it here? I know you had one note in here in the show notes.
Yeah.
Bidding up
So
properties.
yeah, building on what you said, it doesn't strike me that this reduction of buying power is hitting the people in your Torontos and your Vancouvers that are bidding over asking by six-figure dollar amounts. It's hitting your people in Regina,
Yep.
who now need to put away, another $7,000-8,000 in order to hit the stress test, or they're going to be paying money not towards their mortgage, not towards their investment, but to some third party, so that they're what could have been a 10% ratio mortgage. They ended up at 8, so they have to go down to 5.
Yeah.
And now that money, instead of going to that investment, is going to whatever organization earns that cash.
Yeah.
So if that was the point of doing it, again, I don't necessarily think that it was the right tool or properly implemented. I should say I've got a degree from the University of Regina in economics, a teeny tiny bit about this kind of thing from years and years ago. I'm not just popping off the cuff on it.
You might know a couple of things here.